Good evening. Welcome to Meet America. Thank you so much for watching. The subject is horse slaughter and how we can stop it in the United States. So get your pens out. And I have a co-host with me today.
Yes, my name's Brian Rosen. It's good to be with you again, Annie. And we're going to explore this very important subject about the brutal treatment of our horses and how each one of us can take strong action to stop it and what we can all do. Amazing how we mistreat animals in our society, the brutality, and you're going to see all about it in the show.
And we also want to welcome Sonia Meadows, and she is with the Animal Angels. Thank you so much for being with us, Sonia.
Hi, Annie. Thanks for having me on the show.
Why don't you tell us what people can do about horse slaughter in this country?
Well, we definitely need to stop it, and there are several ways to do that. But let me tell you first a little bit about what we are doing. We are an animal welfare organization that works to improve conditions for farm animals. And my team and I, we are going out in the field every week and document conditions at auctions, feedlots, and slaughter plants. And one of our primary concerns is the horse slaughter issue, because during these visits we've just observed tremendous cruelty and abuse beyond imagination.
And it's absolute, you're absolutely right there. It's just incredible, as you have seen on the screen, this horrible massacre of our horses that shouldn't be happening. It just is unbelievable. And we owe the horse everything. We owe them our loyalty, our protection, our love. They rode us on their backs through history. They fought in our wars, and they've died by our swords. They have literally, been our noble and wonderful friends. And this is the thanks they get?
Exactly, that's the thanks they get. I mean, to be dumped at an auction and then loaded on a transport truck for 30+ hours and then face a brutal death at the plant. I think we can do better than that.
I think we have to do better than that, and I think if we don't, what's going to happen to us as human beings? We're already being treated by our government as we treat our animals, more and more. The elderly are being brutalized more and more and forgotten, and the rich elderly, by the way, are being taken under conservatorships and their money stolen by the government. I have a friend who that's happening to as we speak, and I look and I say to myself, this is all what we do to the animals. And it's odd to me, Sonia, that the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse it's the horsemen. It's the horses. They're galloping, all 4 of them, and they're spelling out our doom. To me, it's very symbolic that what we're doing to the horses is what's going to happen to us.
Absolutely, yes.
So I urge people what you can do. Sonia, why don't you tell us what people can do and the horrendous, we're watching what's a slaughter yard in Mexico now, right?
Yes, exactly. And there are several options that people can do, because there are currently bills pending in Congress to protect America's horses. The most important one is H.R. 503, the Prevention of Equine Cruelty Act, which would make it illegal to slaughter or to transport any horse for the purpose of slaughter. So if that bill would pass, they couldn't even export the horses anymore to...
I thought that passed, and it was now in the Senate as 727.
Well, it's still pending, unfortunately, and it's still stuck in the Senate. So we still need to call our senators to get that passed.
Yeah, it passed the House.
Yes.
And so now it needs to go past the Senate, and that's why it's so important for people to call their senators. It's Senate Bill 727.
Correct.
Right.
That is correct.
Yeah. And, for what is the other one? The horse transportation bill, you said?
The other one is HR 305, the Horse Transportation Safety Act, because what I have found on my investigations is that slaughter horses are widely transported still on inhumane double-deck trailers. And the problem with these trailers is that they are designed for cattle, so the horses don't have enough headroom in there. And I've documented the worst head injuries of these horses in these horrible trailers. So that bill would prohibit the transport of horses in that kind of trailers, and that's another very important issue.
You know, I think it's so important. There are these people I noticed when I was up in Washington, and I literally call them monsters. I don't think they're human. And they own horses, and they think that after a horse has gone lame, this is rodeo riders and ranchers, once their most exquisite and excellent, obedient quarter horse that has done everything that master has asked of them goes lame, they send him off to the auction. And they want an easy way to get rid of these horses and still make money. Well, that kind of degenerate behavior is okay in this country. It's okay because the ranchers and the cattle people, they make it okay, but it's not really okay. It's degenerate behavior. And if we allow ourselves to degenerate to that kind of state of mind, then we no longer love ourselves as human beings. And then the government doesn't love us either, because they don't respect us, we don't respect ourselves, and it's a spiral downwards into the most negative kind of horrible hell realms, which unfortunately our animals are the victims of, number one. And
oh yes, the animals are the victims of it. Anybody who's weak and poor, who can be exploited for money, is the victim of it. And so it's up to each one of us can make a difference. Now I understand the horses go down to Mexico and they come back as dog food or cat food, or is that correct, Sonia? They come back as into our pet food as well.
Well, the horses that are slaughtered in Mexico are mainly slaughtered for human consumption in the European Union.
Okay.
So their meat is shipped overseas to end up on gourmet dinner plates.
And here we have the whole gourmet mentality, you know, oh, it tastes good, you know, it doesn't, people ignoring the cruelty behind it. It's so much about lack of awareness, lack of consciousness. You know, it's like with the pâté de foie gras that Wolfgang Puck used to promote. You know, where was the concern about how the animals were treated? And I do think because we're all connected, when we support the bad things, we become part of it. And we wonder why there's so much disease and suffering amongst humans. But what we're doing to the planet has to strike home, each one of us, since we are all connected. Whatever we put out, we're all connected. So we're eating the meat or whatever that's cruelly raised, we're taking that energy into ourselves. It's just plain wrong, and it's up to the people to correct it. I've been tabling on various issues, and I talk to people about the animals, and a lot of people just aren't aware of it, but I've never ever seen more vegetarians and vegans in my whole life. People all over the place do not want to support that kind of cruelty. So it's not all that we're all depraved. There's plenty of that out there, but there's also plenty of good people who are trying to make a difference, and people who just don't know what they're supporting. And when they know, I think that they will make a huge difference in there. And now obviously we're getting on to the subject of other kinds of meat as well, and a little bit off the horses, but it's also interconnected. And our government needs to know that we the American people do not tolerate cruelty to animals, horses or otherwise. And we need to hold our government accountable and to make sure they support these bills, that we no longer export or treat horses like this, and it needs to stop very quickly.
Yeah, I mean, of all the horses, of all the animals, we owe more to the horse than any other animal, in my opinion, on the face of the planet, because they brought us to where we are now. And they've plowed our fields for us, they fought in our wars, all the things that I said before, and we have to have loyalty towards them and protect them right now. And you can see this poor horse being dragged off alive in this slaughter plant, all for money, folks. And these are your horses, these are your children's horses, these are 4-H club horses. You know, it goes on, and it's happening, this enormous Auschwitz massacre of our horses across the United States. And if you have a senator that isn't supporting 727 to stop this horse slaughter, you need to tell them you don't vote for cruel people, because anyone who allows and thinks that horse slaughter is okay and that it can go on means that they don't really care about you. You know, and they can't be human inside. They just can't have a heart. And so therefore, that callous disregard they have for animals is going to be far-reaching onto you and me and all of us as well. And so it's so important to make sure that, you know, we don't allow this to happen.
I agree with you there, and I also think, and that's what my organization has been working on, there needs to be more exposure of what is going on at these auctions, you know. Mm-hmm. How is this business that is run by very few people able to take away our pets, our horses? So
yeah,
we have been trying to go to auctions in Indiana, in Ohio, to the big feedlots in Montana and in Texas. It's really a nationwide issue. And I think the more people know about it, the better it is.
I think that it's, you know, I've had so many comments of these people who own horses. They say, well, you know, people are letting them starve, and so horse slaughter is better than that. And I say, you know something, those people that are letting those animals starve are going to let them starve anyway. That's a problem that as soon as you have laws and bills to stop cruelty of horses, they're going to be accountable, which right now they aren't. The horse is the most unprotected of all the animals because they're in that gray area between livestock and pets. So they don't get any protection at all. And it's, you know, it's inexcusable behavior, and anyone watching this that can just watch and sit there and not do anything. As Martin Luther King said, he said, in the end, it is not your enemies that you resent and the government that you resent. It's those that stood by, your friends and whoever that stood by and did nothing. Every one of us is responsible for making sure that we make this a better world. And there's this awful, disgusting sort of stuff that's going on television which tries to teach people that you can be callous and rude and obnoxious and that that's cool, that's okay. And it's not. That is the media, money-making, greedy world speaking to you. And it's going to affect all of us.
Actually, and I always tell people, you know, don't look away when you go to an auction. If something bad happens, if you observe cruelty, call law enforcement, you know. Get active and prevent this from happening. I mean, you can make this place better, but speak up.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's very important.
It's so important because...
Well, when we realize we're all one, you know, we need that awareness. We need people to realize the connection. I think a lot of people are also very unconscious, the big corporate media, like you were saying, Annie. But I would like to point out, I was thinking about the spiritual tradition, like Christianity. It says the love of money is the root of all evil. And it's all about money, you know, and the lies and the deceptions come out. And that's why all of us has to do our part to keep this greed in check. You know, It's a terrible way to make a livelihood. It's not helping the souls of those people who are committing the cruelty. We don't need to have people making livelihood like this. There's other ways to make a livelihood. These foul practices need to be stamped out from the face of this planet. There's no reason for any cruelty towards any living creatures. And in Buddhism, it said we should not find right livelihood and not do any cruelty towards any living creature anyway. So it's up to each one of us to make a difference. And there's plenty of people out there who have a lot of money, like in Santa Barbara, who can make a big difference. And the spiritual traditions say to give what you have to help the poor or the weak, and do it in secret, and then you find yourself, you find your soul. And that's the only way we find ourselves when the sacrifice is great. Not to make a public show of it, as so many do. You know, to give a few extremely wealthy people might give $1 million, which is like you and me giving a dime. It's nothing for them. But to make a real, genuine sacrifice, you know, there are so many people who have much more than they need who can make a big sacrifice and they're the ones that have most of the money, and they can make the big difference. And stop this. We can stop this if we all work together and everybody works together.
And not only that, you don't have to do it monetarily. If you don't have money, you can make a call. All you have to do is call President Obama and email your senators or telephone them and say, if you want my vote, then you need to vote for the horses. You need to do this thing.
Yeah, that's the best thing.
You know, yeah. And if you don't do that and you don't do anything, then well, when Great Spirit doesn't come through for you, just remember how you never came through for the Great Spirit. You know, it's amazing how people who do things for the Great Spirit, things happen for them, you know. And those that don't, it seems that their lives are in a wallow. And you know, people say to me, well, you know, what about the horse? It's the greatest animal on the earth, and look at it's getting tortured, and it hasn't done anything. And what do you say about that to the Great Spirit? And you're right, but we are a motive force for the Great Spirit, so we can change it. Even if the universe is just one cold, dark, godless place, you and I in our hearts can play God and be kind and make this a wonderful world. So if nothing else, we can do that. Sonia, what do you have to say about some of the things? Tell us. We don't show any horrendous stuff on here, but why don't you tell us some of the things, the cruelties you've seen?
Well, I have seen that the horse slaughter industry is cruel from start to the end. I mean, the cruelty starts well before the horses arrive at the slaughter plant, and it starts at the auction. You know, where I've seen horses left to die in the pens, you know, injured, you know, with severe head injuries, left medically untreated, just because they're doomed to be a slaughter horse. We found that the minute the horse is labeled as a loose horse or a kill horse, the treatment changes. And even people that would otherwise protect the horse, like veterinarians or auction goers, just accept the fact because it's labeled a kill horse. So, and then it goes on. After spending the day at the auction, they're loaded onto these double-deck trucks, and I've been personally, you know, following these trucks for years now, and they're on there, 40 horses, or even more than 40 horses, on 2 decks, hitting their heads, no food, no water, going thousands of miles, just then to be unloaded, offloaded again at feedlots, and wait there for the end, basically.
You were describing before, what are some of the injuries you've seen? You've seen them torn apart, you said?
Yes, I've seen horses with broken legs being loaded anyway on double-deck trailers. I've seen horses with jabbed out eyes, you know, open fractures, and then horses too weak to be loaded, they just get left behind. So they die in the auction pen.
And what is President Obama doing about this?
Well, so far, nothing.
Can you believe that? Our kind, good President Obama?
That's why, you know, I believe we need to call him, and the more people call him, the better.
I agree. You know, now you go down to Mexico, and so you actually witnessed the slaughter, right?
Yes, yeah, we went to the Mexican plants, and we even followed trucks from the United States crossing the border and driving the thousands of miles to the plant, and it's just horrible what goes on there. I mean, we watched horses being left in bloody kill boxes while the workers went for a lunch break. And we've observed horses too weak to stand being dragged into the plant with a cable winch. And we've observed pregnant mares being transported, and then they give birth in the slaughter plant pens.
Can you believe that, folks? Slaughtering mares with foals. I know they do that with cattle, but you know, the horse to us in the United States is a mythical animal, and it's an animal that is in the greatest art. It's in our storybooks. It's the black stallion. It's, you know, these are race horses that are going there. How many race horses are sent to slaughter? Do you know, Sonia? I know thousands are.
Thousands are, yeah. It's large numbers.
They're running for their lives, these horses. They know. They know. And believe me, we all know that animals are much more telepathic than people. And they know what happens to them when they don't run fast enough. That's why they break their legs running and break their wind and whatever they have to do to be the best. Because there's that undercurrent of knowing what's going to happen to them. And the great...
We've seen race horses that still have their racing shoes on in the kill pens, that just have raced the weekend before, and they just weren't fast enough, and then they end up in the kill pen the next week.
It's absolutely a nightmare of hell on this earth. And please, people, please, we are here to give you information. That's what we're here for, and that's what this program's about. It's not just about sitting on your couch like you watch so many programs. It's about doing something. You can partake in stopping this horrible, horrible slaughter of the horses. And if you don't, nobody will. It's up to us.
Well, here we are sending horses to these concentration camp-like facilities and allowing this to happen, which is a really big disgrace. And the horse killers need to be brought to disgrace, you know, and exposed for what they are. They're the wealthy people who are so comfortable making money off of this kind of thing need to be afflicted by public awareness, you know, and the poor horses who are afflicted by these people need some comfort. You know, and all of us can be part of that. You know, these concentration camps, and we're doing it to humans all over the place. We're similar situations, slave factories in foreign countries through NAFTA and the WTO and the trade agreements. And here in the United States, it's the same thing we're doing to the weak, the downtrodden, the horses, the animals, so rich people can get richer, and people can become their slaves, or the animals can virtually become like slaves, so we can make money off of them. And it's all about money, so it's up to us to, you know, to put an end to this kind of foul evil, and let our representatives know they have to support this. Let Mr. Obama know that he promised change. He promised change, and where's the change? You know, where's the change for the animals? You know, Teddy Roosevelt was a strong opponent of preservation of wildlife, and he spoke up. Where's Obama? Well, he should be speaking up, encouraging people not to support any kind of animal cruelty, and certainly to support these bills. We need good leaders, and we're held hostage by the media and the politicians being told we have to vote for the lesser of two evils. Well, we can't be held hostage forever. We have to just start, I think we need to start supporting those who are ethical and care about the planet. And we can succeed if enough people are aware, and that's what we have to do. We have to spread the awareness, we have to spread the love, we have to spread the realization of our oneness with all the animals, and we're doing this right now on this show. So let's be the change, and let's make the change.
Yeah, that's so true. We're looking at a horse right now in the Mexican slaughter yard, thin as a rail, you know, too weak to stand. It is so pathetic. You can't believe that human beings can sink so low. And people out there that, you know, call your senators, email them, write to them, do whatever you have to do, email your other friends to email, and let's stop this. We have a magnificent opportunity now to stop horse slaughter in this country once and for all. And I talked to a rancher up in Washington, and he had written this article about how to be kind and have your horse trust him. So I thought this was a great man who would, you know, want to call his senator and make sure that she supported this Equine Prevention Cruelty Act, which was SB 727. You know what he told me? He said he felt it was good that they went to slaughter. And I said, why don't you go to slaughter? That's, you know, why don't you experience it? If you're an advocate of it, you need to experience it. There's all these bravado men out there that are so willing to let other people, other horses, you know, and beings suffer. And yet they're pansies when it comes to them. And I just think that those kind of people, they're leading the way to us becoming this degenerate kind of a creature that has no heart and has no soul. And that's not what America's about. That's not what we're about. And we have to always say no to those people. You can't do that. You can't get away with it. That's monstrous behavior, you know, and it's not okay to be a monster. It really isn't. And that's what the message is. It's okay to be a monster. It's okay to be cruel. Well, let those own people be cruel to themselves. So they want to go slash themselves up with knives. That's up to them. But, you know, start with themselves before they advocate it happening to others. And believe me, if they had to start with themselves, they wouldn't.
Right, and we just have to create more awareness, because there's also so much misinformation out there. I mean, the pro-slaughter people, they want to make the public believe that horse slaughter is actually doing a favor, that only crippled and sick and old horses are slaughtered. But I can tell you from my visits at these big feedlots, that is absolutely not the case. And we're looking at young and beautiful, wonderful horses that could be, you know, a very good pet to someone that are slaughtered. It's the prime time of their lives.
And not only that, well, we have to close, unfortunately. We're coming to the end of our half-hour program, but stay tuned, because we're going to have part 2. You know, old horses, sick, injured horses, they all need to be treated with compassion and love, as we would want ourselves to be treated. And if we don't do that, believe me, folks, when it comes our turn, we're not going to, our own souls will punish us and for what we are doing and what we're becoming. And we ourselves will allow ourselves the same treatment we're allowing the animals, and that's already happening. It's happening in the healthcare system. It's all about money, as Brian says, and like that. So I want to thank you so much for being our guest, Sonia. Stay tuned for our part 2. And thank you, everyone. And please call and make your action today.